So, very good morning to all of you. On behalf of FDP team and SCIT Jaipur, I, Praveen Saraswat, welcome you all in this session. We are proud to have an eminent academician and researcher, Dr. Monika Mittal, among us. It's a matter of great honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Monika Mittal, who is presently working as Associate Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering at NIT Kurukshetra. She has completed her graduation in Electrical Engineering from MMM Institute of Technology, Gorakhpur in 1992 and completed her post-graduation from NIT Kurukshetra in 1994 with specialization in control system. She has completed her doctorate from Electrical Engineering Department, NIT Kurukshetra in 2013. She has a teaching experience of about 27 years. She has authored about 80 research papers in international and national journals and conferences and has filed patents. Two students have completed their PhD under her. She has been instrumental in carrying out various administrative duties from time to time and organizing international and national conferences and several FDPs and workshops. Presently, she is working in the areas of signal processing applications in control system, computational algorithm, wavelets in control, biomedical signal processing, and renewable energy, etc. Now, I request Dr. Monika Mittal ma'am to kindly enlighten the audience by sharing your knowledge on topic advances in controller. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, I think my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, good morning to all. First of all, I give my thanks to giving me this opportunity to deliver an expert talk in this FDP. The topic of my talk is advances in controllers. Now, first of all, are important irrespective of the branch due to the need of automation in every field. As in computer engineering, all the networks, data flow are operated with the help of controllers. In IoT, which is the topic, industrial IoT is the topic of your FDP. In that case also, different devices are internet enabled. There are communication controllers which are required, and they can be in the form of microcontrollers. So in the form of, they can be in form of mini controller also. So all the principles are same as that of the normal controllers which we use in the control system. In electrical engineering, smart grid is there, machines are there. In that also we have to use the controllers. In mechanical engineering, in automobiles, boilers, we have to use controllers. So in civil, smart buildings are there, we can say. So in that case also, building should be automated and we have to use controllers. Now the controllers are very important in every field and its needs keep on increasing. So originally the concept of controller belongs to the domain of control engineering. So now first of all, I want to give some introduction. Now in that case, as controllers are always connected in a system. So first of all, what is system? A system is a collection of components to obtain a desired performance. And these are suitable to be used generally to maintain its performance. Now, the controllers are used because our requirement is that the system should be stable. If it is initially stable, after that also it is stable. And if it is not, then we convert into a stable system. And steady state error, that means after some time the error should reduce to a very low value, accuracy should be increased. So these all things that can be done using a controller. And the important thing is that if we consider a system, there are several components, then synchronization between the components should be there. So that means if some lags are there, some offsets are there, in that case also controllers are used so that they can work in a harmony. to generate some useful output. So we can also say that controllers are used in a system. And now what is system? We have already explained. And now for controlling a system, first of all, we have to decide the variables which has to be controlled at the desired value. Desired value means our requirement. For example, the boiler's temperature is, for example, 300 degrees centigrade, then we have to set it at 300. So that means the desired value should be fixed. And then according to that, we have to decide some variables. And then after that desired value, we have to compare the desired value and the output. And if some error is there, then control action should be taken up so that this error becomes zero. And this is the main action which was taken by the controller, and that is called control element. Now, if we take, this is a very general diagram of feedback system, because whenever we have to control it, always we have to measure what is the output. So in that case, first of all, as I have said, we have to decide of variables or what should we want. So in this case, for example, our requirement is, as in this case, if you see this is a process variable. That means, for example, we are using a tank and the level of the tank should be fixed. So this is the requirement. For level, for that, this is a valve. This is connected, and the opening and closing of the valve, that is controlled. So that means we have decided that this is the control variable. And after that, this opening and closing, whatever law is obtained, that's why we define this FCE. This is a final control element. And this M, which is a manipulated variable, that is the opening and closing. So this is a controller which we are using. So what we do, whatever be the level, that is level is measured by some sensor, and that is naturally a non-electrical signal. That can be pressure, that can be temperature, whatever it is which we want to control. And then in that case, as we have to compare, if set point is not the temperature, because this controller works for when some electrical signal is obtained. So naturally transducer is there which convert this non-electrical signal into electrical signal. So electrical signal is obtained, and the set point, this is the desired value which we set, that is also in the form of electrical signal. And if there is a difference between the set point and the output, we called error is obtained, and this reference minus B. If error is there, that means now PID controller starts working. And after that, we get some output which indicates some law that this should be the opening of the valve. So after that opening of the valve, further we have to check the level, and this process continue. And that means we are fixing the level of the tank. So this is the most fundamental example. Now there are various type of controllers. The first controller, that is discrete controller. In discrete controller, only two positions are there. They are on, either in the on position or in the off position. For example, in our home, if we use hot water heater, if we set some temperature, then due to that temperature, if the temperature is less, the hot water heater is in the on position, otherwise it is in the off position. So that's why this is only two positions are there, off and on. So that's why this is known as discrete controller. Next is the multi-step controller. As in the previous slide, we have taken the example of the opening of the valve that can be in the more than one position. That means that cannot be in the on and off position. That can be in the center also. Opening of valve, that is less. Opening of valve, that is more. So that depends upon the control law which we obtain. So that means that is called multi-step controller. So next, the important controllers which are normally used, that is continuous controller. That means sometimes a system is such that we are continuously monitoring the output, continuously we are controlling it. So that is called continuous controller. PID controller can also be used in that case. So in this case, what we are saying, now this continuous controller is an automatic controller, and it is obtained automatically. It observes the variable and initiates the control action. And in continuous controller, more than one variable can be there. as in the previous slides, we have taken only one variable. That is the opening and closing of the valve, or at the center, opening and closing at the center. So that means only one variable is there, but it can be number of variables. So to adjust its output according to the parameter incorporated in the controller, we need three things. How much? How much means after what should be the time, or what should be the value of the gain. So how much means what should be the value of the gain. How long means what is the time at which we have to open it, and how fast means what should be the speed. So that means these three things are important. So according to that, this how much is decided by the proportional mode, and we say proportional controller. How long is decided by integral mode, and that is set by integral controller. And how fast it is decided by derivative mode, and that is called derivative controller. So these are the various controllers. Now this is the alternative way to represent a controller. Controller is also called as a control function. In that case, we can see this plant is totally independent of the controller. So that means this is also possible that this is a big plant, and in that case, various things are measured through sensors, and then we are converting into electrical signal, and some control logic is obtained, and this control logic gives some control law to change the variable. So this whole process that is different from the previous one. So we can say in that case, the controllers are outside the system. They can be add-on, they can be part of the system. This is also possible. Now the next is the analysis of control function. In that case, we have to obtain the system function. That means when we have to analyze, we need mathematical modeling. And mathematical, when we are talking about the mathematical modeling, the equation can be in the three form. Either we can write the dynamics of the system in differential form, or we can write in transfer function. What is transfer function? Transfer function is the Laplace transformation of the output divided by Laplace transformation of the input, considering all the conditions to be zero, initial conditions to be zero. And the third case, we can write the system in state space equation. That also depends upon the number of variables. The order of the differential equation that shows the number of states. So that means first of all, we have to write down the system model to analyze it. And then similarly, we are obtaining a measurement model. If number of variables are there, then we have to make a measurement model. And after that, control logic is obtained, because there are so much variables. And after control logic, we get some law, and we can handle this control model. So this is all about that, how we analyze this control function. Now, what are the methods? How we can control it? So these methods that can be of different type. For example, if we consider design patterns. So in this case, design pattern methods are used when softwares are they are software based. We can say software based methods, and softwares are available. For example, if we use SCADA, then we can design a controller using this SCADA. So that contains in design pattern. When we say analysis template, in that case, as in the MATLAB Simulink is there, you can make a model, directly controller is used as it is. Then that comes in the case of analysis template. And now the most fundamental and widely used controller, as we have discussed previously also, either it can be proportional controller that increase the gain of the system, proportional integral controller, or we can say PI controller, and then PID controller. That means proportional, integral, and derivative. So all the three things, how much, how long, and how fast, that includes in PID control. The next, we have already studied switching control. In this, no mathematical equation is there, nothing is there, only we have to give the desired value. We are comparing, and there is only on and off position. So when we design a controller, then and number of variables are there, then we have to decide what should be the value of these constants. That means Kp, Ki, and Kd. which related with the proportional controller, integral controller, and PID controller. So in that case, what should be the value? There are several methods are available, but they are not proper. The tuning methods are not proper. So we have to apply some optimization technique. Optimization techniques are also applied when some conditions are contradictory. For example, if we have to compromise between cost and quality, then in that case, we can say if cost is high, then quality is good. But our constraint is cost should not be increased to this much of value. So we have to compromise between quality. So when such type of contradictory type of situation is there, then we have to apply optimization techniques to optimize it. We have to obtain some formulation and optimization techniques are used, and then we say this should be the values. So then there are cascade control design. In cascade control design, we are using number of controllers instead of using a single controller. So here, as we have already discussed, the importance is switching on off control. So this is a flow graph. In that case, as I have already said, for example, I have set point is 70. That means if 70 is there and the output of the temperature which comes from the furnace heat is of the 71, then there is a difference. And if there is in the difference, then it is in the on position. Or 70 is the set point. We obtain 69, then it is in the on position. When it becomes 71, then it becomes in the off position. So this is just like switching on off type of control. So it is used only when there is only one variable. And we are controlling in a very light mode. That means number of dynamic changes in the dynamics are not there. Next, I have said optimization based control. The system is same. That means here also plant is there. Sensors are there, which are taking all the variables, which are measured all the variables, and that can be converted into electrical signal also. In that case, when constraints are there, we have to optimize it. So in that case, we have to first of all formulate optimization problem, and then either we use ready-made software to optimize this, or we can write a program, or we can simply say embedded optimizer solver is there. We have to connect this part also due to that constraints. And after that, some control variables are obtained that this should be the value and this should be the next value, and that signal goes to the plant. So this is the next way to optimize the system, and we are controlling the system. Now, the next I have said in the cascade loops, number of controllers we have to use. So here in this, I have shown two controllers. So one controller is directly connected to the plant. So we have converted the big system into small parts. And in the small part, we have connected the inner loop control. That means small controller is used. And this is the outer loop control. So naturally, the number of variables in the inner loop control is less. So it is fast and it is easy to operate. So sometimes there is small change in the environmental condition and dynamics are changed due to that environmental condition. Then we can control simply by using this inner loop control. But if this will not happen, then we have to go to the outer loop control. That means in that case, we can control the system by both of the controller, but our choice is first we have to use inner loop control because it is fast and less complicated. And after that, if it has not happened, or if it is not controlled by using this inner loop control, then we have to use outer loop control. So this is the next way. Now, as I have said, that PID is the most employed or widely used controller due to its simplicity and low cost. Now, in that case, what we are doing, as PID is using, that is commonly used in industry, in control applications, if we have to control the flow, pressure, speed, or the other process variables, then we can use. But the problem is that PID controller tuning is very difficult. And if some noise is entered, then also we cannot handle it. Anyone want to ask any question? Hello? Am I audible clearly now? Hello? So should I? Okay. So now in that case, we have to use a control loop feed mechanism to control process variable. And the next thing we have already discussed this also, that the controllers improve stability, speed of the response, steady state error, it prevent oscillations. So in that case, what we have to do? So in that case, how to do it? There are several parameters by which we can say our system is working properly or our performance is in our desired range. So we have defined some important parameters. They are called as rise time, peak overshoot, steady state error. And we can say this should be the rise time, this should be the speed of the system, this should be the settling time. That means at that time it should be settled out. And the steady state error should not increase to this much value. So that means these are the design specifications which are always given to a system. So for in that case, first of all, we define what we consider a rise time. In that case, it is defined as the time taken by the system output to rise from 10 to 90% of the steady state value. And what is the requirement? The requirement is this rise time should be as minimum as possible. So it indicates the speed of the system. If rise time is less, that means the response is very quick. Otherwise, the system is considered as sluggish. So their next thing is the bandwidth. This is very important. Bandwidth means the frequencies which are present in the signal. So if we consider, for example, a unit step input, if you remember what is the shape of unit step input, suddenly it rises and then it is constant. So when it suddenly it rises, that means it is that there is an highest variation. When it is constant, that means lowest variation. So there are frequencies of infinite and zero. So band of unit step function is between 0 to infinity. So if input is unit step, then we can say we can obtain all the frequencies at the output. So normally we give unit step input at the input and then we obtain the output. So this is very important. And the next parameter we consider this overshoot, and it is defined as the maximum peak value by which the system response overshoots the desired set point value. So always we have to write down desired set point value because it cannot be of this much value. If overshoot is more, that means it, for example, we have set the temperature 300 degrees centigrade and overshoot at the time of overshoot it increase up to 400 degrees centigrade. So it is 25% of increase or 30% of increase. That is very, very large and it is very harmful to our system. So normally it is 5 to 10% of the maximum value. So we have to decide what should be the maximum value of the overshoot. The higher value of peak overshoot indicates quickness of the system. So sometimes we need it, but we have to decide the limit. And also if peak overshoot is very, very high, then it also impacts on stability. So we have to bother about this parameter. This is very important parameter. Next, we say the parameter that is a peak value. It is defined by the response in first overshoot. That means what is the value at the first overshoot? That peak denotes the peak value. If the peak value is on the very higher side, that means it will beyond operating range of the system. So that means this value is also related with the overshoot value. The next parameter is settling time and the steady state error. Settling time means it indicates the time taken by the system to settle down to its final value. And steady state error, we always define that at when time t tends to infinite or when it has to be settled down, it should not increase the steady state error up to 2% or 5% of the original value. So all these parameters are very, very important. And then according to this parameter, we can compare the three controllers which we named proportional controller, integral controller, and derivative controller, or the combination of these. So if we combine the effects on these parameters, if you see this Kp denotes, that means proportional controller gain. If Kp is increased, and what will happen? The rise time is decreased. That means the speed is increased. The overshoot is increased. In the settling time, there is a very small change. and steady state error is decreased. So we have to see what is the effect of Kp. Similarly, what is the effect of Ki? When there is a rise time, then if Ki is increased, the rise time is decreased. That means speed is decreased. So rise time is decreased means speed is increased. Sorry. Similarly, for overshoot, it is increased, settling time is increased, and steady state error is decreased. So this is the problem. Settling time is increased. So this is the problem. That means we have to optimize between this Ki so that speed is increased, but settling time should be reduced. So if Kd, that means derivative controller constant is there, then in the rise time, that means there is very small change in the speed. Overshoot is decreased. So that means if there is a combination of P and D, we can balance between the increased overshoot and reduced overshoot. Settling time is decreased. So this is important property of derivative controller. And in the steady state error, there is no change. Now for that, to analyze this, I have taken a very familiar example of DC motor control. So these equations are written. This is well-known equation which shows the dynamics of DC motor, and we have taken the Laplace transform, and then we have calculated the transfer function. Transfer function is the output by input in S domain. So by taking this, we obtain the transfer function, and this transfer function can also be represented in terms of block diagram, because we know that in the DC motor there is some armature, and armature has some winding. So this LA denotes the inductance of the winding, RA denotes the resistance, some proportionality is there, and it is due to inertia and all that, speed is there. So this all things we can represent the previous equations into a block diagram. Now we have decided some desired specification, that if we are running a DC motor, what are the desired specification? For example, we have considered 1 radian per second is the design criteria. Settling time, that should be less than 2 seconds. Overshoot, that should be less than 5%. 5% less than means the maximum value plus 5%. Overshoot should be not maximum that value. Steady state error, that should be less than 1%. So we have decided all these 4 parameters and we put some limit. And now we start one by one. Now, if we have to do it, we simply do it in the MATLAB. And what we are doing, these constants, we have taken one example. These constants are there and we have fed it in MATLAB and we have written its transfer function. Now we know this is what proportional controller means. Only proportionality constant is there. Integral controller means 1 by S is also there. Derivative means S is there in S domain. So this is the overall controller which we can take. Now we start with the proportional controller. So in that case, first of all, we have taken hit and trial method, and in proportional controller, we have fixed, for example, the value of 100. That means so much high value. And by using this program, we have obtained the step response of the DC motor. So what we find out? This we get a step response. Now we can always calculate the values by putting the cursor on that side. By right click, we can calculate all these values. And what we observe, that both steady state error and overshoots are too large, because the maximum value is, for example, 1, it should increase to this much value, and that should be not be more than 5%. That means if one value is there, 1.05 should be the maximum value, but it is increased. So this is the problem if we are using this much of gain. Steady state error, that is less, that is clear. So we say here we can see both steady state error and overshoots are too large. That means that is not in our permissible limit, which is given in our desired specifications. So it is known as increasing the proportional gain, reduce the steady state error, but if we increase the value of Kp, overshoot is increased. Already it is more. Therefore, that means we have to use another controller, or we have to change the value. So next we have taken PID controller. That means we have mixed all the controllers, and then we take, for example, the value of Kp 75 and very low value Ki1, Kd1, and according to that we get this performance. And in that case also what we find here, steady state error does indeed goes 0 to step input, and the time takes to reach the steady state error is far larger than the required. That means if we consider the previous case, the time taken to settle down is more. So now that means we are using a PID controller, but the value taken that is not proper. So here we further change the values. For example, we further increase the KP. KI is taken 200, KD is taken 1. Further, we obtain the response and further conclusions are made. And what we observe that the steady state error is now eliminated much more quickly than before. The large integral gain has greatly increased the overshoot. So that means if we see the previous slide, now also the gain is increased up to this much value, increased 1.2 से भी ज़्यादा हो गया. That means now this gain should be reduced. So further we have to change the value to reduce the gain. We have to increase the value of KD. So in the next we have increased the value of KD to 10. So like this we have optimized, and now we have seen that we get our desired performance. That means they are within the range which we have set it. So now, as was hoped, the increased differential gain reduced the resulting overshoot, and these values met all the design requirements. So the important thing is that here we have used hit and trial method. That is very difficult to tune it. So we have to use some specified methods to tune it, and tuning is very, very important in the case of PID controller. So we have to apply some criteria. For example, if we apply Hurwitz's criteria, which can give the range that if the gain values are increased to this much of value, then the system converts into unstable, or using the root locus, we can put some limit. So after putting some limit, then also it is hit and trial. So other possibilities, we can use the Ziegler-Nicholas method. In that specified tables are given. We have to decide the order of the system, and according to that, first of all, proportional controller value is decided, and according to that, we can find out the value of K and KD. So in that case also there are so much problems. So next possible solution is we can use optimization techniques to optimize this KP, Ki, and KD, because whenever three variables are there and some contradiction is between them, then we can formulate a problem and we can solve it using some optimization problem. Or we can use some advanced variants of PID, which is fractional order PID controller, multi-resolution PID controller. These are the latest controllers which are used nowadays. So there are some merits and some demerits. So we will discuss one by one. Now in that case, so after that, as we have discussed multi-resolution PID controller, there is a property multi-resolution that will that is in the case of if we are using wavelets. So wavelets have proven themselves as a very good noise reduction technique, and this property that can be automatically used in noise reduction, because we said that when we use PID controller, the main problem is of tuning, and the second main problem is when some noise is entered, then we cannot use it directly. So in a if controller is based on wavelet, the generated control signal enables determination of an appropriate threshold even in the presence of noise due to their inherent multi-resolution property. And this obviates the need of further filtering. That means either we have to use filter or we can use this wavelet-based controller. So we can use that also. So the wavelet, what is wavelet? The wavelet decomposition of what wavelet does, wavelet decomposition of the error signal at different scales provide better error resolution as compared to existing PID. And this MRPID wavelet-based controller is one such controller which is very effective in the presence of noise and environmental disturbance. So to achieve the further improvements in the performance optimization of the gain parameters, we have to compare between PID and MRPID controller so that we can get the benefit of, we can see the benefits of MRPID controller. Further, we can optimize PID parameters, gain parameters, and which is very important, optimization approach, which can be based on fuzzy controllers. But if we use this, it increases the complexity of the system. So there are some more techniques which are available, intelligent control techniques, to calculate this KP, KI, KD, that they are GA, PSO. GA means genetic algorithm, particle swarm optimization techniques are available to optimize these parameters. But these are also very sensitive to disturbance. That means we have calculated the proper value of KP, KI, KD using these optimization techniques. But if, for example, some noise or disturbance is entered to the system, then we can't control the system. So for that, MRPID is the best way. That means to denoise the system, and then we can control it. So next, we are going for how MRPID can be applied. So before that, we go for a signal transform, because whenever we are applying some transform techniques, means we have to convert time domain signal into frequency domain signal. So in that case, what is signal transform? Always we know that signal exists in the time domain, and to analyze it, we have to convert into frequency domain so that we get more information. And Fourier transform is one of the most common transform technique which we can use to get the frequency contents from time signal. But there is a localization information. Localization information means at which instant these frequencies are present, we can't know by this Fourier transform. That means time information is not there. So to avoid that problem, short time Fourier transform is done. What is short time Fourier transform? Whenever signal is there, we select a very small window, and then we put that window in the signal, superimpose that window, and we obtain the Fourier transform by multiplying that window. So if we multiply the window in that, what will happen? Fourier transform gives the frequency. Now they give the frequencies present in that window. Then further next step is we shift the window. Further we obtain the Fourier transform. Then we obtained the frequencies present in that particular time. So that means somewhat time knowledge is obtained if we are using short time Fourier transform. But then also there are a lot of redundant data become when slow varying and fast varying signal is there. That means in the same signal, sometimes the signal is slowly varying, sometimes the signal is fastly varying. In that case, if we have to decide the window size, that due to high frequencies, we have to decide a smaller window size, but due to slow variation, we have to decide a bigger window size. That means if smaller window size is selected for that particular signal, where small variations and fast variations both are there, then lot of redundant data is obtained. So in that case, this is a problem in that case, because we cannot change the window size once it is fixed. So this problem remains in short time Fourier transform. Now this is the example when we are using a Fourier transform. In that case, as in this case, the first is this 3 frequencies are there. That means here it shows that 5 is the amplitude of this green one signal, 10 is the amplitude of this pink signal, and for blue signal the amplitude is 50. What is the frequency of this blue signal? Because it is constant, this is a DC, that means 0 frequency. To calculate the frequency of this green one, we have to calculate how much cycles are in 1 second. So if we count 1 cycle, that means 1 cycle means positive half and negative half. If we calculate the cycles for 5 amplitude, we get 60 number of cycles are there in 1 second. And for this pink one, we obtained the number of cycles are 8. So that means now this signal can be converted into frequency domain using Fourier transform, and we have represented by amplitude and by frequencies. 3 frequencies are present. DC waveform has amplitude 15, 0 frequency. The frequency is 8, the amplitude is 10, and the frequency is 16, and the amplitude is 5. Both are reversible. That means From time domain, we can convert into frequency domain, and from frequency domain, we can convert into time domain. So from when time domain is converted into frequency domain, it is called Fourier transform. When frequency domain is converted into time domain, it is called inverse Fourier transform. So this example is very comfortable because only 3 frequencies are there. So if we consider this is a signal, what will happen? If you see, this signal has, if we consider this part, this has 0 frequency. If we consider this has infinite frequency. That means what is the band of the frequency? The band of the frequency is between 0 to infinite. That means now we have to convert into Fourier series. As in the previous case, only 3 frequencies are there. So it is very easy to represent using Fourier transform. And because we say that in Fourier transform decompose a signal into constituent frequencies, and these constituent frequencies are nothing but the sinusoids. So if we are converting in the next slide, if we are converting all the signals, because 0 frequency and infinite frequencies all are there, that means there are a lot of frequencies. So at some point we have to truncate it. That means we are truncating the Fourier transform harmonics. There are a lot of harmonics and we are truncating. Naturally, the higher harmonic amplitude is less as compared to the previous one, but because infinite is nothing, because all the frequencies are present, we have to truncate it. As in this case, we have truncated and we have reconstruct the signal. That means first of all, Fourier transform is obtained, and after Fourier transform, we have truncated and then reconstruct the signal. That means further it is converted into time domain. And here, if we count the peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That means here we have taken only the signal up to 6th harmonic. So in that case, what we observe, we are not obtaining the actual signal shape. There are some oscillations towards the edge side, and the edge side oscillation amplitude is also more, and that is 9% increase of the center value. So that theory was given by Gibbs. So what he says that whenever some sharp edges are there, then reconstruction of the signal is not possible, or if it is possible, then these type of harmonics are always be there. So this is the problem in the case when we are taking the Fourier transform. This is another signal which we have taken. In this case, this is a chirp signal. In chirp signal, what we are doing, this frequencies, first of all, slow variation is there, and then fast variation is there. If we consider next signal, here first of all, fast variations are there, and then some slow variations are there. But when we convert into Fourier transform, then what we observe, the Fourier transform of both the signal is same. That means this is same and this is same. That means the knowledge that higher frequency is later on and lower frequency at the starting there is lower frequency. That problem is there when we take Fourier transform. That means this is the example of loss of time information. That means we don't know that at what instant the frequency at this frequency is present. So to remove that problem, we have to use wavelets. So as I have told, this short time Fourier transform, in that case, we are taking a window to analyze a signal. If we see the previous, in that case, if we use a window, for example, window is in this position, then we can say these frequencies are present. That means low frequencies are present. And after that, when window is shifted at this position, then we say high frequencies are present. So somewhat time information we get. So when short time Fourier transform is there, we have to fix the window size. So if we compare the short time Fourier transform between and the wavelets, what we observe, you are well known about this fact that the frequency resolution and time resolution, the product between them is always constant. That means once we fix the window size using Heisenberg principle, the product of frequency resolution and time resolution is fixed. We can't change. So in the first waveform, the width of the window is already fixed. We can't change. But if we use a wavelet, there is one more variable which we take. One is time, other is frequency. One more variable which we take, that is called as scale. That means scale means dilation, or we are compressing. So for example, if we see this waveform, that means if the signal is in this range, we are seeing the signal totally. And here frequency resolution is very good. This shows the frequency resolution. And time resolution is this much. That means this is very poor. But in the next level, we are changing the window size. This is possible in the case of wavelet. So what we are doing, we have divided into two parts, and now time resolution is somewhat increased and frequency resolution become poor. Then further we divided. So this process continue up to this point. Now at this point, this window size is very small. That means time resolution is very good, but frequency resolution become poor. So in this case, there is a facility that we are changing the frequency resolution and time resolution in a particular window size. In this size, the product is constant, but here we are changing the values. So this property of the wavelet is called multi-resolution property, which we used to design MRPID controller, which is the latest controller nowadays. So I think I am clear for this, the property of multi-resolution. This is very important property and we used for in the next slides.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Okay, so what is wavelet? So wavelets are the function that satisfy certain mathematical requirement. That means every waveform that cannot be considered as wavelet, there are some conditions. And it provides resolution in both frequency domain as well as in time domain, as we have discussed earlier also. It has multi-resolution property. Wavelet analysis involves selecting an appropriate wavelet prototype function known as analyzing or mother wavelet. Whatever wavelet we select, we always named as the mother wavelet. When dilation and compression is there, that is known as baby wavelets. So this dilation and translation that can be done, and that means they are flexible in time and frequency, and this is the main property of this wavelet. Now, how can we use this property to denoise a signal and then to control a system? That is very important. So mathematically, how we have to choose a wavelet? So mathematically, there are some conditions only by which we can say this particular waveform fulfills the condition of wavelet, and we can consider as a mother wavelet. Now there is a system. Now what should be the wavelet? What should be the type of the wavelet we have to select? For that, we have to calculate the correlation between the mother wavelet and the signal. That means the correlation between the signal and the analyzing wavelet function is computed separately for different time intervals, so that we can say if correlation is maximum, then we have to choose that particular wavelet that totally the of wavelet. If to choose that particular wavelet. So these are the some conditions to fulfill any particular small wave that can be considered as a wavelet. The condition is that it should have finite energy. It should be absolutely integrable, and it should be symmetrical about positive half and negative half. And if we take the Fourier transform, it should have zero mean, we can also say. So this, if it our signal or particular wave fulfill these two conditions, then we can say we can consider it as a wavelet. So what is the mathematical expression? This is the mathematical expression for the wavelet. Here S denotes the scale, which in the diagram I have shown by A symbol. This tau denotes shifting. That means originally when we see the formula of Fourier transform, only the difference is that signal multiplied by e raised to power minus j omega t dt. This is the formula. So what we increase, the scale factor is increased. This factor is taken for constant energy, because when we dilate it, amplitude should be increased. And when window size is taken, it should be shifted. So that means shifting parameter is also increased. And this is scale. That means this parameter is also increased. So this gives us time information. So this is the formula for continuous wavelet transform. Now this continuous wavelet transform has a facility that we can take any scale that can be 0, 0.1, 0.2, 2, 4, up to infinite. That means if there is no limitation, then lot of redundant data can be obtained. So what we do, in spite of using a continuous wavelet transform, we use discrete wavelet transform, and then discrete wavelet transform means we are only using a dyadic scale. That means scale is changed in power of 2. So there is some condition is imposed, and as it is in the power of 2, we can easily connect with filters. We can easily program it, and we can, because 2 key power means it is related with binary number, and we can easily program it. So filter banks, these also have multi-resolution property, and these filter banks for this can be related with this DWT. So how we relate with the filter bank? So this is the next. I have shown it 2-channel filter bank. That means 2-channel means first of all signal is there, and this is high pass filter, low pass filter. This is downsampler, and this is converted into coefficients. 2-level means only one number of undersampling is done. It is done in dyadic scale, means downsample by 2. If we have to further combine it, then we have to take the upsampler. This is the mirror image of high pass filter. This is the mirror image of low pass filter, and after combining, we get this YK. So in between them, we can filter it. So that's why we can denoise using filter bank analysis. Now there are various type of wavelets which are available, continuous wavelet as well as discrete wavelet. So different type of wavelets are Haar wavelet, Doboshi's is the name of the scientist, Simlet is also, Koflet, Morlet, all wavelets are available. So first is Morlet. Now if we see, small wave is there. If we take the mean, positive and negative, area is same. So it obeys all our condition. Similarly, this is the Haar wavelet. It also obeys all our condition. So this is the family of the Doboshi's. Here also, this dB2 means the number of filter coefficients are 4. Haar has the value of dB1. The filter coefficient value is 2. So this is dB3. The number of filter coefficients are 6. So this is Doboshi's family, and we can take any one of the wavelet and we can find out how we applied in PID controller. So what we can say, selection of proper wavelet is very important in wavelet analysis, because there is a direct correspondence between wavelet shape and the signal shape due to the underlying correlation operation. So next is how we do denoising using wavelet. So now I am going to discuss wavelet based denoising to see the effects on the performance of PID controller. Now we are combining wavelet based denoising with PID controller. Why? Because PID controller is very simple, as well as if we use wavelet based denoising, it denoises the disturbance. So automatically the combination gives us a very good result. So here what we are saying, a signal is usually corrupted by noise during its acquisition or transmission. It degrades performance of the system. Hence, effective denoising is necessary. The denoising process can be described as to remove the noise, retaining and not distorting the quality of the process signal. Normally, up to before this wavelet based denoising, what we do, we simply use filters, band pass filters, high pass filter, low pass filter, band stop filter, or so in that case, what we are doing, simply that filter eliminates that particular frequency, or the signal can pass the low frequencies and stop the higher frequencies. But nowadays, what will happen if we consider a signal, we say that at this particular time, these high frequencies are permissible, but in the next time, these high frequencies are not permissible. If this is the case, we cannot use band pass filter or low pass filter, because that can be true for all the time. But if we have to choose between the time and the frequency, that means time information should also be there, that at this particular time, only low frequencies are allowed, and after that, high frequencies are also allowed. So in that case, time information is must, and we cannot use filters directly. In that case, we have to use wavelets. So in this case, if we use wavelet based denoising, then there is no need to use of filters. Now, what is the method? This is the steps by which wavelet denoising is applied. First of all, noisy signal is there. Then DWT is taken, because I have said that if we use continuous wavelet transform, there is lot of redundant data. And if we are using computer, then we have to also convert into discrete, because discrete signal is easily converted into binary number. So DWT is there. Then we have to decide some threshold. What is threshold? Threshold is a range, that means up to that value the signal is allowed, and after that magnitudes are cut off. So some thresholding, proper thresholding is applied, and after applying this thresholding, we have to further convert IDWT, inverse discrete wavelet transform, so that it converts into time domain. And when we combine all the signals, we get the denoise signal. So this is the whole process, that how wavelet denoising is applied. So this is the advantage of wavelet based denoising as compared to traditional method is as follows. The wavelet decomposition coefficients will be maximum or maximal when the input signal most resembles the shape of mother wavelet, as it involves correlation analysis. This we already discussed. The signal energy is concentrated in a small number of wavelet decomposition coefficients. Hence, they can be easily separated from the unwanted noise. So these two things are very important in this case. Now, this is the main block diagram, that how we applied wavelet based denoising. So as we have considered the normal block diagram, now what we are saying, some input signal is there, and this is coming, or we can say input signal or desired set point signal that is given to the system. Now here Gaussian noise is entered to this signal. Now, for example, we have set the temperature 300 degrees centigrade, some noise is entered. So when this set point goes to the plant, that changes due to this noise part. So that is very difficult for the plant. Then what should be the controller we are using? Because control only that depends upon the error. So when noise is entered towards the input side, what we have to do, we are using this DWT transform. That means whatever signal is obtained, denoise signal is obtained, we have taken discrete wavelet transform, and using that there is a noise elimination by proper selection of this thresholding method. After using the thresholding method, further we combine the rest of the coefficients and convert into time domain. That means inverse discrete wavelet transform is taken, and after the output is denoise signal. So by this process, the input signal which is corrupted due to this noise, Gaussian noise, that is denoised. There are two types of thresholdings which are available. One is called soft thresholding, other is hard thresholding. That depends upon our requirement. So this is the characteristic of soft thresholding. That means this shows that up to this part, the coefficient becomes 0. Whatever be the input, output is not there. After that, output is increasing linearly. So this is the input output characteristic of soft thresholding. When we consider the hard thresholding, here also some dead part is there. That means for this much of input, no output is there. Then DC component is also there. That means this part is also there. Constant increase of output is there, and then it is increasing linearly. So this is the difference between soft thresholding and hard thresholding. And now I have taken two very familiar examples, that is a thermal system and DC motor, which are considered to verify the utility and advanced control strategies over the conventional control approach. So what we are doing in this case, because this thermal system, this is very important if we are considering chemical reactors, food industry, power industry, etc. These are very important. If we take a thermal system, then we can use that thermal system in these industries. A small change in the temperature, if chemical reactors are there, a small change in the temperature may cause failure of the whole system. So in that case, sometimes temperature control will become very essential part. The next important application is DC motor. DC motor offers a wide range of possibilities with respect to precise speed control and can develop constant torque over the wide speed range. So this is also very widely used in industry, DC motor. Now, when we consider a thermal system is single input, single output system. And in that case, in a system, air is stuck through an electric heater gauge operated in air inlet form, and then it flows through a pipe. Thermistor measures its temperature, and outgoing air temperature has been compared with the set point, and then heater is operated according to that. The input range of the signal of the thermal system is between 0 to 10 volt. So this is the block diagram. So here air flows through the pipe. There is a heater which increases the temperature. Now this temperature is measured using thermistor. Whatever temperature we get, we called as system output. This system output can be seen using CRO also, or system output is compared with the reference signal. The reference signal means whatever temperature we have set, that is converted into electrical signal. Here this temperature is also converted into electrical signal. Now it is compared. If there is some difference, some error is there, we obtain error signal. If error is there, controller starts working. Controller output can also be seen using this CRO. This control gives some control signal so that heater is in on and off position. So this is the whole process of thermal control system. Now this is the normal transfer function. When we write the dynamics of the system, this is the transfer function which we obtained of this thermal system. And now when no controller is used and air is flow, heater is in the on position, what we observe up to 90 seconds or up to this much time, temperature is not increased. And after that, the temperature is increased. When no controller is there, it becomes unstable. That means temperature is increased, and that is beyond the limit. So that means if we have to set some temperature, that this should be the maximum temperature and it should be constant throughout, then we have to use some controller. So here we have, yes. Anyone want to ask some question? Hello. Should I continue or anyone ask some question?
Yes, ma'am, please continue.
Okay. Someone say hello then. So, okay, what I am saying that if PID controller is connected to that system, because in the previous slide, what we observe, we get unbounded. This is unbounded type of increase in the temperature because heater is continuously in the on position. So we have to put some limit. We have to control it. So for example, PID controller is connected to that particular system and step input. That means the reference input which we have given, that is step input, and this is 1 unit. So that means the output is compared, whatever output is there, converted into electrical signal, and that is compared with the step input. So both are compared. When some error is obtained, PID controller is in the on position, which gives the indication to the heater to on and off position. And what we find, now you will see at this up to this much, there is no temperature. After that, it is increasing. Some peak overshoot is there, and after that it settles down. And the value settles down approximately at 1. And the requirement of this set point is also 1. That means now it is totally controlled. If this peak overshoot is permissible, that means this much temperature is permissible, that is proper. And this Kp, Ki, Kd values, they are calculated using Ziegler-Nicholas method. Now, here it is properly tuned, that is okay. But what will the problem? Whenever noise entered at the input of the system, the performance associated with PID controller deteriorates. And even if we are taking a value of gain, we are increase that value, we are change the value of derivative, then also the performance is very poor. So for example, in the next case, what we do, the step input is same. That means our requirement is to set at 1 amplitude. We are adding Gaussian noise. The worst case is when the noise is entered towards the set point. Now this Gaussian noise is added with the set point. Now error comes according to that. So there is a total confusion. And what will happen due to this noise? When PID controller controls, the output is like this. That means it will never settle down. So much oscillations are there. So much noise is there. So we cannot use this type of controller to set the value of the temperature. So that totally fails. So what we can say, the performance of PID controller, which is proposed, that can be improved if we use wavelet based denoising, which I have explained previously. Multi-resolution capability of wavelet minimizes the effect of noise at different scales. And signals which contain noise, we can calculate signal to noise ratio, and the signal which is corrupted significantly, that can be effectively denoised using these methods. So what we are doing? So in this case, when step input, same system is there, step input is there, Gaussian noise is added. Now here we are connecting wavelet denoising, which we have told you earlier. Due to this wavelet denoising, here we get the denoised signal. That denoised signal goes here, and rest of the block diagram is same. PID controller and all that. That is same. So what we observe, due to this wavelet denoising, multi-resolution property of wavelet reduces the impact of noise at various scales. So that means before going to the PID controller, before obtaining the error, we have denoised the signal. And here I have used two type of wavelet. One is the Haar wavelet and other is the Dobeshi's wavelet, and then they are compared. So what we observe now, what are the value? What do you mean by scale? When I have shown you a filter bank, then I have shown you 2 level. That can be up to 6 level. 6 level means filtering is done in the 6th level. Dilation, translation, that become at the level of 6. So we start with the level. First of all, the signal is there. We convert into high frequency and low frequency signal. Highest frequency is separated out. Then remaining frequencies comes. Further, the remaining frequencies, they are analyzed, and one more highest frequency is separated out. Further, we get some approximate signal, and the process continue. If it becomes at level 6, 7, 8, and 9, at each level, we have using some thresholding methods, and then we reconstruct the signal. So what we find at level 9, we get the proper waveform. Similarly, the same can be done using Dobeshi's 4 wavelet. Here also, we have used level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have observed at level 9, it is totally controlled. Now to see the effect quantitatively, and as we know, the performance is compared only when the 4 important parameters are calculated. So we have seen we have selected the level 6, 7, 8, 9. The same levels are selected in Dobeshi's also, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the 4 parameters, which earlier I have told you, the important parameter, rise time, settling time, overshoot, and peak value, that is calculated for each level. And if we compare what we observe at level 6, the value of the rise time is 3.37. And at this point, the level is 3.40. So that means the rise time is increased somewhat. If we use Haar wavelet, the rise as compared to Dobeshi's wavelet, the rise time of the Haar wavelet is less. That means the speed of the system, if we are using wavelet based denoising using Haar, that is more. If we compare at level number 7 also, the same theory is for level number 7 also. That means Haar wavelet is more quick as compared to Dobrish's wavelet for this case. We cannot say it for every case. For this case, Haar wavelet shows better response as compared to Dobrish's 4 wavelet for rise time. Similarly, what is the requirement of settling time? It should be as minimum as possible. So if we compare, this is more. This is more. So that means in the case of settling time also, the Haar wavelet settles down more quickly as compared to Dobrish's 4 wavelet. Similarly, overshoot. Overshoot, if it is permissible, then it is okay. Otherwise, overshoot should be in a permissible limit. So we have calculated this, and similarly, we have calculated the peak value. So we have calculated all this, and we will find Haar wavelet shows better response as compared to Dobrish's wavelet. Now the next example is taken for DC motor. So in the case of DC motor, what we say, DC motor dynamics equation is already written in the previous slide, and some parameters are already taken, and we have calculated the transfer function. So this is the block diagram. Initially, when simple PID controller is used, this is a very good response using this PID controller. But when noise has been entered by the same method as we have entered in the case of thermal system, then what will happen? Here, Gaussian noise is added, step input is there, and no denoising method is there, but PID control is there. This is the response. That means this is totally corrupted. So that means some denoising method should be used with PID controller, otherwise there is no use. So in the next, wavelet denoising method is used. Same theory is used. Gaussian noise is added in the step input, wavelet denoising method is used, and after denoised, it goes to the system where PID controller is already connected. And here also, both the wavelets are used, Haar wavelet and Dobrish's 4 wavelet. Same levels are taken. Similarly, this is obtained for Haar wavelet. And in the next, we have compared all the 4 parameters, rise time, settling time, overshoot, and the peak value for both Haar and Dobrish's wavelet. Levels are same. And here what we observe, the rise time should be as minimum as possible. So we have, if we compare these two, the rise time is less as compared to Haar for all the levels. Similarly, settling time should be as minimum as possible. So in the case, settling time is also very less. If overshoot and peak value is permissible, then we can observe this value. So we can find out some observations that response of both thermal system and step response of DC motor improves in the presence of noise by using both Haar and Dobrish's wavelet based denoising. This is the first observation. But improvement in the performance is better in the case of Haar wavelet. This is due to the fact that denoising performance is better when the wave shape of the wavelet is more similar to the shape of the signal being denoised. So this was already discussed because I have given, if you see, step input is there. And if you remember the shape of the Haar wavelet, that is just like this. So if we calculate the correlation between this step input and the Haar wavelet, this correlation is very, very good. Same type of wave shape is there. Where if we consider Dobrish's 4 wavelet, if you remember, this is a curved in nature, so correlation is poor. So that's why what we say, the second observation is the results are good in the case of Haar wavelet because wave shape of the wavelet is more similar to the shape of the signal being denoised because step waveform and Haar wavelet have the same shape. Okay. Now the next variant, that is FOPID controller. FOPID is nothing but fractional order PID controller. In that case, PID controller, we have considered 3 gains, Kp, Ki, and Kd, proportional controller, integral controller, derivative controller constants. If the order of Ki and Kd is taken as in fraction, then that is called fractional order PID controller. And from the last few years, we have taken FOPID and considered this as a modern controller as compared to PID controller. This is the extension part of PID controller, and it is based on fractional calculus. Two more parameters are taken, lambda and L, and how they are related and how it is applied. That is very clear from this block diagram. Kp, Ki, Kd, this is well known. PID controller values, constant values. Error signal is multiplied by that. Now here one more parameter, D means derivative. Negative power means 1 by S. So this 1 by S is not in the, this is considered by in the power of minus lambda. If lambda is less than 1, we can consider this is in the fraction form. This is not integer. Similarly, this shows differentiation S, and to the power L, if we take L as 1 by 2, that means we have taken in fractional. So the difference is that here Kp, Ki, Kd is applied. So in place of PID controller, we are increasing lambda and L, and then it converts into fractional order PID controller. So what is the effect of using this? So this is the equation. Error equation is multiplied in that. If we, for example, consider lambda is 1, L is 1, it is similar as PID controller. If we consider L0, this is L0, then this could become PD controller. And if lambda and L are in fraction, then it converts into FOPID. So here all the things which we have done in the PID controller, that can be done in FOPID controller. Now next important modern controller, that is MRPID controller. That means PID is mixed with multi-resolution property and then converts into multi-resolution PID controller. Initially what we have done, denoising, wavelet denoising is used as a separate third party. That means different software is used to denoise it. System is different. We are using a different software. So two software has to be used. But if we have to work online, then we are combining PID with multi-resolution property and then converts into MRPID controller. Now we can do using a single software. So this is the latest controller that is called multi-resolution PID controller. Now it is based on multi-resolution property of the wavelet. This will help in generating the control signal under various noise, distortion, uncertainties, obviating the need of further filtering. That means this property is also in the case of wavelet denoising method, but that is applied offline, and now it is applied. This can be applied for online. This controller breaks the error down to yield, and set point signals enable the others to delay signal. Further filtering is not required due to availability of different threshold. In the previous case, when we are using wavelet based denoising, then we have to decide some values of thresholds to denoise it. But here there is no need to choose the threshold. The optimized weighted matrix. Now, after that, obtaining MRPID, this Kp, Ki, Kd, that can also be optimized using some control techniques. So this is also very effective. Now, the important thing is that this MRPID controller is very effective in the presence of noise and environmental disturbance. So if you remember, this is the PID control equation. Error is simply multiplied by proportional controller, integral controller, and then differential controller. This is the general equation of PID controller. Now we have to convert this PID controller equation into MRPID controller equation. So how they are related? So for that, what we have done, what MRPID controller property do, whatever frequencies are related into levels, these frequencies are it out. That means if signal has a number of frequencies, highest frequencies and the medium frequencies. So we have converted the whole signal in frequency domain like this. Now what we do in MRPID controller, we are divided because we have to compare with PID controller, so we have divided into the frequency. The high frequency component is denoted by KH. The lowest frequency component is known as KL, and the medium frequencies are denoted by the symbol. Now we can compare between the two. That means simple controller PID and this equation of MRPID controller. So what we observe, if KH is related with some KP, KI, KD, KM is related with some KP, KI, KD, and KL is related with some KP, KI, KD, then we can compare it. So what we observe, if we see the proportional controller, proportional means no frequency is present. That means the lowest frequency present in the signal. The scale is similar to KP. The highest frequency that is related with KI, and these center frequencies, they are related with KD. That means we are comparing between the two, and then we can convert into a block diagram just like PID controller. That means whenever some plant is there, output is there, we have measured the variable using some sensors, some set point, we have calculated the error, and then here we use a PID controller. Now in place of PID controller, here wavelet decomposition is used. That means this error signal is decomposed into various frequencies, and these frequencies are converted into various coefficients. So we have divided this value is related with highest frequency, this KL is related with lowest frequency, gain, and these are medium frequency. So here what we are considering, simple KH is considered for KI, KL is corresponding to KP, and we take the average of all the medium frequency and we considered this as a KD. So this block in this block diagram, everything is same, and we have compared, and then what are the steps to be taken? Multi-resolution analysis has been done. Error signal is decomposed using DWT, and some scaling is done. Scaling means 3-level scaling means we have taken only KP, KI, and KD, which relates to KL, low frequency, medium frequency, and high frequency. So scaling has to be decided. Then we select what should be the value, and then we decide the value of the gains. So these following steps are the extra steps, and then we design MRPID controller. So after designing this MRPID controller, this decompose the error signal into high, low, recurrence part at a particular level of decomposition. And what we find out, the control output of MRPID controller is a linear combination of 3 terms: KH, high frequency value, KM, medium frequency value, KL, low frequency value, and the same thing is applied for both the system, thermal system, as well as for DC motor system. So here we have taken a reference signal. For example, I have set the value of the temperature, that is 268 degrees centigrade, as a reference signal. And the same system is taken. To compare with, here block diagram is drawn, and now these controllers are taken one by one. That means 3 switches are connected. First of all, 1 switch is connected. That means now only PID controller is connected with the thermal system. In the next case, switch 2 is connected. 1 and 3 are not connected. That means only switch 2 is connected, means FOPID is connected with the same system. And similarly, at the third cases, when MRPID controller is connected to the thermal system. So now we can clearly compare that what is the effect of the noise when PID controller is there, FOPID controller is there, and MRPID controller is there. And also we can see when noise are not present, then what is the comparison? Because if noise is not there, then PID controller gives a very good response, performance curve. So in the next case, we have drawn when no noise is entered, system is working properly, only control technique is there, and our requirement is to set the temperature at 268 degree. That means ultimately it should be settled down at 268 degree. The performance is better when the settling time is less, the response is quick. So we have shown all the three responses. This red one response is for PID controller. This blue one response is for MR PID controller. And this green one is for fractional order PID controller. So this is very clear. This red one shows oscillations. The peak value is very, very high. That means if it is used for some application, in spite of reaching at 268, the peak value goes beyond 325. So which will become a dangerous part in this case. So PID controller system has more transients. And if we compare quantitatively, what we find, we are also calculating the error curves. That means error means 268 degree centigrade is the set point value, and whatever we obtain in all the time, this shows more error. Red one shows the more error, and this FOPID and MRPID, they are showing very less error. MRPID settles down better as compared to FOPID. So it is observed, and when some table is obtained for PID, FOPID, and MRPID, three controllers are there. An important thing, no noise is there. All five parameters, here we have calculated all five parameters: rise time, peak, settling time, overshoot. So what are the observations? This is important. In this case, the observation is, in the case of PID controller, rise time is 1.2 seconds. Okay. Here for FOPID, the rise time is increased. That means it is delayed. MRPID, it is delayed. That means PID controller is more quick. Why? Because in MRPID, there are some more steps, multi-resolution steps, then denoising steps. In FOPID, two parameters are increased. So naturally, they become more complicated as compared to PID. So when noise is there, PID works very effectively because it reaches, the rise time is less. But what is the problem? The problem is due to this peak value. The peak value is 335 degrees centigrade. Our requirement is 268. So it settles down at 268 after some time, but at the peak value, it reaches to 335, which is dangerous to our system. In the case of FOPID, it is 278. In the case of MRPID, it is 281. Similarly, peak time, if we compare, this is less. Okay, this is good. But oscillations are there in the case of PID, that is also dangerous. Settling time, if we see the settling time is very less as compared to MRPID. This is also our main requirement, that settling time should be as minimum as possible. And this is the value of overshoot. Overshoot is, in the case of this FOPID, this is less. And overshoot is very high as compared to PID controller, which is dangerous. So that means if we compare the PID, FOPID, and MRPID without noise, we can use PID as it is, but the problem is due to this peak value, 335. So next, if noise is entered, what will happen? So for example, here also Gaussian noise is added at the reference side. Rest of the thing is as it is. That means we are taking PID controller. That means switch 1 is connected, 2 and 3 switch is not connected. Other things are same. In the second position, we are connected FOPID. What will happen? And then at the third position, we are connected multi-resolution PID controller. So what will happen? So here also for comparison, all the three curves are drawn. In that case, what we observe, this blue one, this is for PID controller. Lot of disturbances are there. And this curve, we can't determine any value. What is the peak value, settling time, we can't determine. If we see this red one, which is the case of FOPID, here also a lot of disturbances are there. But when we see this green one, oscillations are there, but it settles down. You will see this green one will settles down, and this is approximately 268. So that means it is observed that noisy input has least effect on the system performance using MRPID controller. But the time taken to settle down is very, very high in the case of MRPID controller. So if we take if we did obtain the values, what we observe, rise time is calculated, peak time is calculated, peak value is calculated. All these 5 parameters are calculated for PID, FOPID, and MRPID controller. For in the case of PID controller, rise time, if you see, we can't determine because it is just like a random signal. More than one value is obtained at the single point. So we can't determine this. So we have written that in the case of PID controller, rise time is indeterminate. Similarly, in the case of FOPID, FOPID means red one. So here also it is a random signal, we can't determine. So we have written indeterminate. For MRPID, rise time we can measure it because rise time is 10 to 90% increase of the final value. So we can determine, we have written it. Similarly, peak time we have calculated. Peak time in the previous peak time, this is a random signal, we can't determine. We can't determine for controller time. This can be determined. So this is this much. Similarly, peak value we can determine it. Peak value can be determined for PID and FOPID. Settling time, it never settles down, PID controller. FOPID, it never settles down. But in the case of MRPID, it settles down. That time is very high, but it settles down. Similarly, overshoot. We can say the overshoot, we cannot determine in the case of PID. In the case of FOPID, we cannot determine. But in the case of MRPID, we can determine. So we have compared, and then we can say the previous one shows that MRPID can work in the situation, but FOPID and PID can't work. But there is a chance that we can, if we can change the value of KP, KI, KD, sorry, not KP, KH, KL, and KM, and we optimize it, then these parameters also we can improve it. So this is the further improvement. But in the case of PID and FOPID, we can't improve because values are indeterminate. Okay. So the same type of characteristic is drawn for DC motor. What we have seen, when PID controller is used, then it gives a very good characteristic in the case of DC motor. So here also PID controller, FOPID, and MRPID controller is connected. And when there is no noise on the same system, we have calculated all the values. So the performance is very good in the case of PID, FOPID, and MRPID. All will settle it. And when we compare it between the error signal, then this is the PID. The error signal settles, it is fast as compared to MRPID. So quantitatively, we can also measure it. And these are the comparisons between the rise time, peak value, settling time, and peak overshoot for PID, FOPID, and MRPID. And what we observe in the case of PID controller, the rise time is very less. But in the case of FOPID, this is also very less. In the case of MRPID, it is also very less. Peak time is this much good. This is less. Peak value, almost same. Settling time is reduced in the case of MRPID. Overshoot, there is no matter because in the case of PID, overshoot is less. So what we can say, now all are working very good. But if we compare all these controllers, when Gaussian noise is added, then what will happen? In this case, here the error is decomposed. We connect first of all PID controller, DC motor, system output. In the next case, we are connecting FOPID by switch 2. In the next case, we are connecting MRPID controller. So we have taken one by one, the same example is taken, and what we observe. This red one is FOPID, green one is for MRPID, and blue one is PID. PID characteristic is very bad. So it is observed that noisy input has least effect on the system performance using MRPID controller, because ultimately it settles down. Some oscillations are increased, but it settles down. The system output desired value at 8.3 seconds. That is very large, but it settles down. But in the case of PID and FOPID controller, the system input noise, the effect of the system noise is the response remain oscillatory and it does not settle down at all. So we can compare it quantitatively also. So rise time, peak time value. So in the case of PID controller, indeterminate, FOPID controller, indeterminate. In the case of MRPID, it has some value. Similarly, we can compare with the peak time. For PID and FOPID, indeterminate. In the case of MRPID, some value. So peak value we have obtained. The peak value for MRPID is less as compared to these two. And similarly, other values are also calculated. So what are the conclusions? The conclusion is that when there is a noise, then both PID controller and FOPID, they are not working properly. But in the case of MRPID, they can work it. So what should be the future direction? That means this is the latest controller which are used nowadays. Starting from PID, then we go for FOPID, and then the latest we use multi-resolution property, and we have designed MRPID controller that can be used for both thermal system and DC motor. So what we can say that these wavelet-based denoising that can be explored with intelligent control techniques. Intelligent control techniques means these gains can be calculated using some intelligent control techniques, so which gives us better result as compared to the results which we obtain. Other type of wavelets, we have taken only two wavelets here, R wavelet and Dobitsch's wavelet. So we have not taken Morlet, Koplet and Simlet wavelets. So other type of wavelet we can take, and we can investigate for different type of system inputs. Here we have taken only a step input, but we can take other inputs also, and other advanced and we can use for other advanced applications. The next thing, optimization can also be combined for calculation of this Kp, Ki, Kd. If optimization techniques are used, here we use simple Ziegler-Nicholas method. We can use optimization techniques for genetic algorithm, particle swarm optimization technique, or some other techniques can be used to optimize it. And there is an utilization of optimized MRPID controller in the presence of noise for considered and some more complex bigger system. Here we have taken two examples. We can take more examples, and the results are same, that MRPID results are best as compared to FOPID and PID controller. So I think I have completed to the latest one, starting from the fundamental, that what is controller, what is the importance, then how we apply it. Then we have considered two applications. Then we go for wavelet-based denoising method, FOPID, and then MRPID, which is the latest one. So I think I have completed all of the theory which is related to the controller to give just an idea. So if there is some query, you can ask. So I have completed my presentation. If there is some query, you can ask.
Yes, ma'am. Honorable
Yes.
ma'am and dear participants, good noon. I am Dr. Deepak Kumar, faculty in Department of Mechanical Engineering, SKIT Jaipur. There are few queries I want to ask from the participant side. First question, how PID controller can be incorporated in IoT?
So I have already explained you that IoT is what? In Internet of Things, everything is connected with internet. And when and when internet is connected, what is the requirement? Everything should be in the controlled manner, working in a controlled manner. That means controller is an important thing. If controller is there, then the principle of controller is same. In the case of IoT, we have to use communication controller, because we have to communicate between this end to other end. So that's why this is then the variable parameters that is related to the communication parameters. Only the change is that.
Okay. Okay. The
So otherwise
same.
principle is same. Yes. Theory is
Yes,
same.
ma'am. Yes, yes. The second question from the same candidate, Ravindra N. Chavan, that how PID controller can be compared with the microcontroller as far as IoT is concerned.
Actually, what is the difference between microcontroller? In microcontroller, everything is converted into chip. That means
Yeah.
whatever we are doing in PID controller physically, we can design PID controller using software. We can design PID controller using chips, microchips. Then the same thing can be done using this transistor circuits. Transistors are used, and whatever equation is there. I have already written one paper in this. In that paper, transistors are there, and output equations, state equations are written such that we can directly compare with the control equation of PID controller. And actually in PID controller, what is the thing? We have to calculate Kp, Ki, Kd. If this Kp, Ki, Kd are calculated using the electronic circuit, then this is related to this microcontroller. Only the change is that.
Okay, ma'am. The next question was, which type of controller is best suited for industrial automation? Can you suggest, ma'am, any best?
Actually, nowadays, up to nowadays, only PID controller are used. But
Okay.
what will happen on theory? FOPID controller is already designed, and now in the latest one, MRPID controllers are also there, but they are not applied physically up to now. So
Yes.
physically, yes, this is the problem. This is only the latest topics which we can apply physically also.
This question is on there. How can we use industrial IoT concepts in thermal engineering? How can we use industrial IoT concepts in thermal engineering?
Basically thermal system is why I have taken this example, as all of you are related with the mechanical branch. So when we go for the workshop, DC motor is always connected. जब भी आपको कुछ भी workshop में करना है, DC motor is there. Okay.
Yes, yes.
कोई आपको बनाना है, lathe, in the lathe operation also DC motor is there. So in that case, speed control is very, very important. भाई ज़्यादा speed है, what should be the blade size, what should be the speed, so that you get the required shape. So this DC motor application is very important. Similarly, the next important application for the bigger system is thermal. As I have said, this temperature control is important. I have taken the example because this is very simple. You can understand it. And this is the very small part of a bigger system. When we consider a bigger system, naturally there are a number of controllers. We can't use a single controller. For some variables, we are using this controller. For some other variables, we are using another controller if they are not related to each other. So that means to give the theory that how it works, I have taken this two examples. But in a IoT also, when you have to control the temperature of the room, smart buildings are there, everything is connected to the internet. घर आने से पहले आपको AC on करना है, सारे bills आपको चाहिए. So in every field, you have to control the temperature and all that. And that's why I have taken these examples.
Thank you, ma'am, for the query session. So now
Thank
that
you.
is the time for formal vote of thanks. So on behalf of the FDP team, entire SKIT fraternity, I extend my sincere thanks to our esteemed speaker of this session, Dr. Monica Mittal, Associate Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering, NIT Kurukshetra, for sparing her busy schedule to grace the session. Ma'am, today we had an opportunity to hear your expertise in the field of advances in controllers. We are grateful to you for explaining various aspects of, we can say, discrete and continuous controllers, classification, analysis of control functions, control methods, and PID control in detail, and its tuning with optimization approaches with, we can say, GA, PSO, and Fourier transform approaches. So very nicely has been elaborated, and we want to convert actually the, we can say, raw material into the information and information into the knowledge, and then understanding and into the wisdom. Thus, a transformation of, we can say, low level intelligence into the high level intelligence. So as the ma'am explained very nicely that the advanced controllers play this important role efficiently and effectively like PID controller. So the session was very knowledgeable and informative for the participants, and this will definitely put motivation in their research work and better understanding in the work. So I extend my sincere thanks to ma'am and the same time to all the participants for attending the session and showing interest. So may I now request to all the panelist members to put on their cameras for a session photograph, please.
Yes, sir, done.
Okay, Professor, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
once again for
Thanks
coming.
Thank you very much. मैकेनिकल
meet
के
again.
लिए थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट होगा, बट अदरवाइज
Yeah,
इलेक्ट्रिकल स्टूडेंट्स आर आल्सो देयर और इलेक्ट्रिकल
Yes,
टीचर्स.
sir, we have mixed crowd. We have a lot of CS students.
Okay,
a lot of
so for
electrical students.
electrical branches, that is very easy, I think,
Yeah,
because
they
I'll
can
give
connect
just
easily, yeah.
introduction to all that. To
Yeah.
go into deep into the
That is
study,
why
you have
this
to.
FDP was designed. Yeah, it is the elementary level FDP. In the next stage, we can go for the advanced level. Thank you, ma'am,
Yes,
for
yes.
your lecture.
Okay. Thank you, Dheeraj. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So can I leave?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am,
Please.
you may leave.
Okay,
Thank you
okay,
once
okay,
again.
okay. Thank you.
So announcement for the participants that we meet again at 2 p.m. for the session number 6.